there's an excitement now that wasn't there when then Biden was running.
Right.
And I think that new energy, that new focus, I think the base of the Democratic base is more energized and psychologically refreshed than, it's almost like, we finally got the driver's license away from, our grandfather who needs to be away from the wheel because we were afraid he hit a couple trees and now he's able to put that away respectfully, thank him for his service. We had a moment, and I had to talk about, because historically, we are they're trying to, with this redlining, not redlining, what I'm trying to say, with uh, critical race theory, they're trying to steal milestones and the historical context of a lot of things that happened. But when Jesse Jackson went across that stage at the DNC, that was one of the highlights for me. And
Yeah.
psychologically, it did something for me because I don't know if it resonated with everybody, but I want people to look back at that. And when you look at Jesse Jackson, a man who stood with Dr. Martin Luther King, who was assassinated, trying to make this country more equitable, make the United States more equitable, not this country, but the world embrace humanity and stood up against oppression, he didn't make it to the mountaintop. But in that moment, to me, it was almost like seeing Jesse Jackson. He got to see the mountaintop. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? He got to see the mountaintop in that moment that Dr. King didn't get to see. And in a sense, Dr. King's vision and his presence, got to move forward in that moment. And I felt that. If you didn't feel that, I think you have to question if your American stance and if you are really a patriot, because that is probably one of the most patriotic moments if you understand history. And why we have to keep teaching history so people can understand when we have moments like that, how significant they are.
That's
And I'm
right.
telling you, man, it was, and that wasn't the only, really powerful moment in that DNC. But we've had a lot of those moments. Oprah Winfrey did a great job. Cortez did a great job. So many people. The ladies brought it. I mean, I'm sorry, they showed out. Of course, Barack Obama brought it. Michelle Obama has now got a song out based on the black job comment she made. That Trump is now trying to seek one of those black jobs. And I think that psychologically it's refreshing. But as a therapist, and here's where we're going to get to the therapeutic side, I think you got to be careful not to let the highs get you so high that you don't act.
Right.
And you don't let the lows get you so low that you don't act. So yes, okay, the energy has changed, but let that motivate you to get out and do something. And remember, the most important black job we have right now is to vote, because it's starting to get out now exactly what the plan is for that project 2025. And we're not saying it, it's on the news, on respectable news sources, not entertainment sources, but respectable news sources that are saying that the project 2025 is is Trump's attempt to create an oligarchy,
Yeah.
and that's really what I believe is what he's trying to do. And what people don't understand with oligarchy is, you're not going to really. We no longer we no longer will be a United States at that point. We will be something else. We are a democracy. We are the standard bearer for democracy in the world. So everybody's watching us. And I
Yeah.
think that theme came out many times to the DNC. So I think and the other thing I caught, I don't know if you saw this today, I was watching on CNN, but they showed a behind the scenes, uh, what was happening at January 6th with Pelosi.
Yes.
And, and as she was going through and what she was saying, and one of the things she said, which I don't know why they didn't say this or why it's coming out now, but I think it's powerful to come out now. She was sitting in her room with the window, with the mirror was broken. And she said, it is clear, we have an enemy of the state in the White House.
Yes.
Now, I don't know why we're just not hearing those sound bites, but we were saying that way
But
back then. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? We were saying that. And I think part of the thing is some of the wrong things make it on the media, and some of the things we need to see. we need to hear a Pelosi standing up saying, "No, this is not an American thing to do. This is something that a agent from Russia would do. This is something that somebody that's not compromised." So when you put your votes behind somebody who could arguably be considered an enemy of the state, what are you really voting for? You really have to wonder what your policies or your beliefs worth your soul of your country of what you believe in, because democracy, we know what it means. And we've been saying it for a while, and I think part of the issue, and psychologically, for African Americans, for people of color, is that, I'm just going to say it, we have always known the potential of the United States to be great. We have seen how great the United States is in comparison to other countries. But for us personally, it didn't feel so great all the time. Because no matter what we got in life, no matter how we excelled in life, we always felt like the American dream was not quite extended to us. And I'll give you an example. If I could be a multimillionaire and have to worry about when the police pull behind me, if somebody just recently graduated from high school could take my life because they're scared of whatever stereotype that they have going through their mind, and could take my life because I'm black, or driving, the thing, driving while black. We already know what that is.
Right.
That means that the American dream hasn't been extended to us. Freedom, life, the pursuit of happiness. How can you be happy if you're scared that freedom and your life can be taken from you at any moment for anything? So where was that period when we talk about America being great? The reason what's on the ballot for us is the entitlement of people thinking that, oh, everything is fine, and yeah, we got deficiencies and all that. No, we don't have that true sense of equality. We're still fighting for it. We're still fighting for it. And that's the psychological standpoint that people have to understand, is we see this in a very tangible way, most of us. Now, I don't understand. I know that a lot of folks are getting political, and they're like, oh, well, the Democratic Party hasn't really done everything it can for the American people, or for black folks. So why are we voting for somebody that, just, you know, uh, uh, doesn't deliver on everything that they say they're going to do? Well, I'm sorry, but, you got to understand something about politics. Nobody ever gets everything they want in politics.
Right.
It's time for us to move the conversation out of middle school, out up to and past high school, into the adult life. You're not going to get everything you want. You didn't get everything you wanted as a kid. You don't get everything you want on your job. So what makes you think you're going to get everything you want in politics? You get some of the things you want, but you have to be honest. Barack Obama said it best: "I'm going to do what I can, but you still have to do what you want." Wanted to increase my income, I had to go back to school. I had to sharpen my skills. I had to refine what I knew how to do, and then I increased my income. I wasn't waiting for nobody to do that for me. Now, I don't call it bootstrap. No, that's just aligning myself with my ability to look at my resources and doing what I had to do. Now, that's what we have to do. But we also have to understand that there are people that don't want me to have that opportunity, because some people do want entitlements. They just want certain jobs earmarked for them just because of who they are and what color their skin might be. And they're trying to see in me and other people that look like me move around this world to opportunities that they thought should just be allowed for them, because these jobs they think are not black jobs. Well, I'm sorry, every job on earth is a black job. Every job that we create and we want to do is a black job. We develop civilization, period. So everything is a black job. That's what, if you want to know what the definition is, you name it, that's a black job. Even Christianity was a black job, because I think Jesus was black, wasn't he? So, and we don't go that far, but we can go that far too. So I can't hear you right now. We lost some sound.
Olive color skin.
black job.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that, with coarse hair, black job. So with that being said, it's gonna be funny when when some people get to heaven and you say, yeah, that was my job that you was talking about, that I did. It gave you salvation. That was a black job. Anyway, so I digress. But the reality is, we gotta see this thing in a real sense. What's on the ballot is an area that I don't think we ever really want to go to. If you think that uh, Project 2025 is not real, then you're living in a illusionary world. And one of the things we've always done consistently in this show is bring reality to the forefront. And I know people, I've heard some comments and people have said, yeah, Joe, we like the politics, but we thought this was more mental health. Guess what? It's both.
It's tied together.
It's tied together. Because if you're not living in reality in politics, then you're not healthy mentally. It's called a delusional mindset. So it's very hard to separate. I would love to just talk about, hey, we need to focus on suicidal ideation, depression, getting off the video games, and all the other lower level things. But okay, if a house is burning down, do I focus on the majority of the fire or do I focus on the other little things? And we do talk about a lot of the other things that we need to talk about in terms of mental health. But right now, we got some majorly blaring things going on in terms of politics and the delusional mindset of someone who's running for public office, the highest office in this country. So we're going to give that some time. And if you don't want to listen to that, that's fine. Tune in to when we talk about whatever political, whatever mental health issue you would like to discuss. But write in. If you want to talk about a mental health issue, I'm more than happy to talk about whatever marital, children's, adolescent, at risk, youth, whatever. If you want, go to the website and we'll actually have a life coach or a therapist come out to or do a teleconference with you, and we'll do that directly. But right now, we're talking about the big things. Why? Because this is a big show. You don't get 40,000 listeners talking about something you can go on Google and look at for yourself. If you
Hey,
want to do that, Google it. I mean,
yeah.
that's fine. As a
Now,
matter of fact, I do GPS presentations, it's patented, and I work with at-risk kids in multiple states all the time, and we can talk about all that. So we can talk about those sound bites. But right now, we got a big wolf at the door, and he's crazy. And I'm gonna tell you he's crazy. We've been telling you he's crazy. We're gonna tell you that people are following are in a cult, and now you see it. Now we move. How do we move past it? We've got an option now, and we have sanity or crazy on the ballot. That's what we've got. Now people have their particular issues. I hear people say, "Well, yeah, when Trump was in office, they did better things for the military and all that." There might have been some hiccups. There might have been some things that may have put a little more money in your pocket. And maybe if that's where your currency is, okay, that's fine. But you got to look at the big picture. Were we better off with Trump leaving office or being president? Were we better off? And I think the resounding answer to that is no way. We never had a president that allowed to happen in January 6th what happened. And we were never this divided. That's a part of his legacy. That's a part of his legacy. And that's the job of the president is to bring us together. And that's not the man for the job. I think we know that, right? If
right.
you're living in reality. Now, if you're living in this other stuff of greed, fear, and phobia, we'll bring that back and forward. We've been talking about it now for coming up on 2 years. If you're living in the area of phobia, where you think all these people are taking over the country and all these people coming across the border, they're gonna change the fabric or poison the blood of the country. That's phobia. That's phobia. That's fear. And that's greed. There's no vision that's a good one that comes out of that. None. What comes out of vision is understanding that we're inclusive. And that's a human being on the other side of that border. And if there's criminals, we've got criminals here. We've got people with mental illness here. It wasn't, a immigrant that shot at the president. It was an American citizen who happened to be Republican, but he was mentally ill and had access to a weapon that he shouldn't have had access to.
Exactly.
And who's been given that message? So we've got to take our mindset out of the mental madness box. And if you're talking about mental health, let's talk about that mental health. Are you living in a delusional mindset, or are you living in a reality mindset? And are you making decisions based on that? So not only are you going to vote, you need to vote with some common sense. And I think that came out in the DNC. We started. I think Oprah Winfrey talked about common sense.
It's not common.
Now, now I'm gonna talk to. No, it's not common, but I will tell you this: black folk, we got common sense. If you don't, go talk to a grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a PhD in common sense, go talk to some of these mothers in the church. Go if you ain't been to church in a while, that'll give you another reason. Go for Jesus. But if you need to find out the definition of common sense, go talk to some of these mothers in the church. Go talk to one of these old deacons. I'm talking about somebody at least 65, 70 years old that has made it through some stuff. Go talk to them about who they think about Trump, who Trump is, and what Trump is. Somebody that has a vague memory of segregation and can tell you who Trump really is, and what a Klans person looks like without a sheet, how they move, the policies they embrace. That's I charge anybody. Go to one of these nursing homes and talk about what's going on. And you'd be surprised how sharp some of these seniors are. I've never walked away talking to a senior and not got something from it. Like, man, I didn't think about that. My grandfather, growing up in Auburn Hills, we had so much wisdom around us if we listened. See, that common sense, that instinct that some of us have, we need to listen to it. We need to listen to it. Not just for our own policy, international policy, but for national policy, but for international policy. People are watching, and they're watching us tear down, or almost tear down, the greatest democracy in modern history. And look who we're letting do it. It's amazing. If you look at this guy, man, he is. It don't even seem. It don't even seem. You know, sensible that we would let this man do this much damage to something this much bigger than who he is. I need you. Your mic is out again.
Sorry, exactly. Hey, I want to run something by you while we on this
Okay.
subject. You heard what happened here in Texas, right?
Which time? What are you talking about?
Kim Paxton turned around and raided three houses.
Yeah, I saw a little bit about that, about the
Yeah,
Latino Democratic
right.
thing.
And
Yeah, I
I
saw a little bit.
and I did a story on that today in Texas in color.
Uh-huh.
But remember when I said it's gonna get worse before it gets better?
Yeah, we've been saying
The
that.
worst is coming now because what they did, the houses they raided was little old ladies. They had them standing outside in their nightgown, refused to have them to put on a robe to cover themselves up, and all the police officers just looking at them. You know, to me, it's a form of elderly abuse when you do that. I don't care what anybody say. And they allegedly heard that they was doing things illegally because they was registering people to vote, but they didn't have the evidence. So what they did, they took all electronics to look, and I explained they're gonna find any little thing on there to say we got you. See, if you don't have evidence and you kick in the door, and one door they kicked in and had six rifles pulled on them. So
Well,
the intimidation is coming out right now.
you got to keep on. You got to understand something, Ron. Greed, fear, and phobia creates monsters like that. And we've been talking about this for a while. So when these monsters show their head, they're going to have to be dealt with. They're going to have to be dealt with. So whatever laws it can, be enforced on this idiot, they need to be enforced. Now here's the thing, there's going to be more idiots like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be more folks that come out like that. And here's what I do know. You can watch and see what happened after January 6th. All these folks that were quick to rush to the Capitol, they found their way, a lot of them found their way to a jail cell. A lot of those people pumping all that rhetoric and talking all that stuff, eventually they're going to find their way to a jail cell. And what they're hoping for is, oh, Daddy Trump is going to save them. Let me tell you something, Daddy Trump is not going to save you. He can't save himself. And these folks are going to find themselves they're already on the wrong side of history. And let's just see what happens to those folks. Yes, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but at the end, it's going to those folks are going to find their way to where they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
He's in because right now the article I saw was this person raided these people Latino voters' homes, and he's in a lot of trouble. That's what I saw. Now let's just see what happens to him, and we need to make sure that that trouble is real. When you do something like that, we need to make sure that those laws are enforced, and we need to make sure that those people, they end up meeting the justice that they deserve, and that means incarceration, that means lawsuits, that means whatever it means, whatever the penalty is, we need to maximize it because what it sounds like is voter intimidation.
That's exactly what it is.
And if it's voter intimidation, there's federal laws and there's federal things in place to stop voter intimidation. And if we got to pull the National Guard out to make sure that that doesn't happen, if we have to assign a task force that's going to go after people that are intimidating people that are voting, then so be it. The most sacred thing we have in a democracy is the ability to vote, and it must be protected at all costs. That's a key part of the Constitution for those that want to understand how our democracy works. And if you are affecting that vote, then you are an enemy of the state, and you should be treated as such. See, we need to put the right face on terrorists. We need to put the right face on enemies of the state and treat them as such. And I'll just put it out there. I don't care who you are. Because when I raised my right hand, I said I was going to defend against enemies foreign and domestic.
Domestic. Yes.
And that's no matter where I am. So if you are innocent, if a person is trying to vote and they're trying to do their constitutional right to try to allow people that are marginalized and they're trying to get them to not vote, look, everybody deserves their right to be heard in that election. And if you are impeding in that, you need to face some jail time, real jail time. And we'll just figure it out. We'll just arrest you and figure it out.
Yep.
Let you sit in the jail cell while we got to sober some people up that's in that delusional mindset. Oh, okay, you bold enough to go in and without evidence and harass some senior citizens. Well, you need to go and sit in a jail cell. And I ain't talking about the white collar one either. I'm talking about the one with the cartel members and the drug dealers and everybody else. I take them right down to Bexar County. I bet you that will stop. See, I was down here by the prison. I was on my way. I might have told you this. I had to do some work on my car, and I was down here by the Japanese jail. See, they beat you in the in the Japanese jail. It ain't no. It's not a park. It's not a day camp in jail here.
Yeah.
People don't want to go to Japanese jail. See, we got to make jail something that you don't want to go to, and we got to start sending these senators or politicians to these nice jails. We need to send them to the jails where you don't want to go to, and start protecting them. See, that's what's on the ballot: entitlement and privilege. Trump is walking around with 34 felonies as an example, as a living example of entitlement and privilege right now. And soon, and very soon, hopefully, our judicial system will do what it's supposed to do to him and anybody like him that has that many felonies or a felony or whatever the case may be. And that's when we'll start seeing America be great, when it's equitable in its laws and it's opportunities for everybody. Now, if you're a criminal, yeah, you go to jail. You go to jail. That's that's what where criminals belong. But
Yep.
I'm not going to earmark somebody a criminal until I know they've done a crime. See, and that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to earmark everybody that's coming across the border as criminals. Well, you know what? That's not true. Because this whole country is built by immigrants. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox with that. We've now had another dose of reality, which is a mental health, criteria,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
we can talk about what other questions anybody would have on mental health, relationships. School is back now, so I do want to give a warning to parents. Watch your children's cell phone use. I give this every year. Make sure that they understand if they take any pictures that are inappropriate and they send that as a group in that classroom, they can get in a lot of trouble.
Trouble.
Put your phone up. There's nothing on there. Unless you're doing some research or something that the teacher is allowing, there's no sense in you even having your phone out. Put it up. Check the messages at lunchtime, or if there's an emergency. As far as I know, most schools have an office and they will come get your baby if they need you or you need them. They
Exactly.
don't have a job, they don't have a business, they don't need to be connected to you 24 hours a day and
Mm-hmm.
wherever else you're trying to connect to. They need to be connected to that teacher. And I've had to get on my daughter. You put them electronics up. The only thing you need to be focused on is what that teacher is saying, because if they're not doing that, they're probably putting themselves in a position to get in trouble. Bullying in school, after
Yeah.
school, look, and in fact, I'd say most, if your kids aren't getting straight A's, they don't need a cell phone anyway. I'll just say it. They don't need it. Don't give them a phone. Unless they need to talk to you. I get it, but they don't need all those features to talk to you. They don't need social media and all that to pick up the phone and talk to you. So that's my
Yeah.
mental health adolescent, lesson for the beginning of the school year. Have fun, and this also includes iPad. So just because I know these kids are smart, they'll say, "Well, here, I don't need my phone. Just let me have my iPad." It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's a
So,
bigger phone.
it's a
That's
bigger
all.
phone.
A bigger
So now I
screen.
know. So now that I got all the teens mad at me, because because I'm giving the hustle away,
Yeah.
and pay attention to what's going on to these apps. Every app that's on your child's phone, you should click it and see what's really on there,
Yeah.
because they do have fake apps that connect right to what's called the dark web, and any and
Yeah.
everything is on there.
Yeah.
Any and everything is on that dark web.
It
So
is.
you better understand and pay attention to these songs and these musics that's out
Most
here. There,
definitely.
if your child is listening to Sexy Red, you need to delete all that. There's nothing good that's coming out of Sexy Red's music. Nothing. I hate to say it. I was just listening to Tupac the other day, and I was like, man, everybody. At least Tupac was talking about sometimes, at least social consciousness, awareness, the situation. I don't know what in the world positive Sexy Red is talking about. So, other than being inappropriate,
Yeah.
I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
And that's about as light of a word as I can say. But pay attention to this garbage that is inundating messages and scripts and roles to our kids, and you better pay attention to what they're listening to, because if they like this song, that's what they're going to try to emulate somewhere down the line, and
Yes.
that's coming from a therapist. So if they're listening to this trash, there's some garbage coming down the line from your child.
You know, since we're gonna move on and leave child alone because they're gonna be mad at you for at least the whole school year now.
I don't care. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you don't like it, tune into somebody else. But
Yeah.
but it's done very well for my career to tell the truth and to stand by it. And then there's other good music out there. You can listen to some good hip hop that has some positive stuff. There's things like Tribe Called Quest, and Diggable Planets and other type of stuff, some real music, and not this trash that's in a strip club somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, you know,
Now,
we, if Uncle Luke is sending messages out saying that Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B needs to cut him a check, then you need to understand what type of music you putting out. We knew what type of music that was back in the day,
oh yes.
right? We knew it. If you heard Uncle Luke on a song, you knew, okay, that's what we know what this is. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
now, people are trying to, and I'm not trying to listen. People are going to listen to whatever they want to listen to. This is not a new thing. We had Luke, we had other, artists who were playing that type of music before that. Our parents are listening to people like Millie Jackson and all that type of stuff. All right. But what we have to do is have wisdom enough to know, hey, this is not for a child to listen to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if your child is just listening right from their AirPods and right to their phone, you can't really tell when that music switches over. And if you're not watching, you won't hear it. Okay, so we gotta be a little more mindful and just pay attention to what your child's watching and say, hey, take the AirPods off. Let me hear what you're listening to.
Yeah.
I had to give Sydney the speech the other day. She went to the bathroom. She locked the bathroom. So you don't like nothing here. No, I don't care what it is. I don't want to see nothing you got. I just change your diapers. But you don't lock nothing in here because you don't pay no bills. I'm that type of therapist. I'm not. Yeah. I know all the therapeutic options and all that. But we got the old school parenting. Some of that stuff still works.
Oh
A
yeah.
child needs to know I will bust in your room at any particular point in time, and everything in this house I will look at. Unless I tell you, I'll let you keep your journal to yourself. But if I start seeing some crazy behavior, I'm gonna have the right to look at your journal and see what the heck's going on in there. Now, if anybody has a problem with that, therapists or otherwise, I don't care if you're a PhD down to a no degree. If you got a problem with that, call in and let's talk about it. Because I got
Well,
some factual information. I got
speaking
some
about
experience
yeah, speaking
that
about that.
I can share with you on that.
Yeah, speaking about that, I heard something the other day, and I did not butt in. Oh, I wanted to. Oh, I
Hmm.
want to so bad. I was at a store, and the daughter was talking to the mama, and she was making sense. The mom turned around and said, "You're not gonna be anything. You never will be anything. You're gonna be just like me. So just accept the who you are." That face on the daughter went from joy down to rock bottom. And I'm listening to this. I said, "Is this what the parents are doing out to the kids to keep them suppressed down like this?" I didn't say anything, but boy, I was hearing that a mother telling her daughter, "You're not going to amount to anything." We got a serious problem when that happens. That's the reason why people can't get away from their life where they are. That cycle has to be broken. And the cycle will
Well,
continue, and she may pass it down to her daughter. That's how her mama taught her. And
you got
somewhere, somewhere along the line, that cycle got to be broken.
now you're gonna make me do some real work, Ron.
Okay.
Okay, so what you saw was a horrible example of what's called learned helplessness. It's called learned helplessness. If you want to look it up, people can Google it. It's a phenomenon where, just like you said, generationally, parents actually limit the options of their children because they think that because I haven't become anything, you're going to follow the path that I'm going to follow, and that's a path that I know, so I can help you navigate not being successful because I'm not successful, and I don't want to see you go through that pain of trying to achieve and trying to do things. It's a disgusting and sad illness that a lot of us, now a lot of folks, I don't say us, a lot of folks have, and they put that on their kids, right? So on the flip side of that, we have what's called social justice advocates, where we take children who they have one path and we try to expose them to other possibilities of what they could achieve that are higher than what they would have possibly aimed for themselves in terms of trying to change that paradigm and break those cycles and those chains. So If I were there, I probably would have intervened. And I know I don't have good sense, but I would intervene. I would ask her, why would you say that? Why would you say that to her? And I'm crazy like that. My wife always tells me, why do you get involved? I can't help myself. That's probably why I need to be in Japan because I would have said something. Why would you say that to her? You have no idea what God can do for a child, what a person can do when they decide they want to do something. But if you say that to a child, then yeah, you can break her spirit. And that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to break her spirit. That's what they used to do to slaves. That's what they do to prisoners. That's what they do in basic training. They try to break you down. But in the military, they break you down in order to build you
Yep.
up to be a soldier, marine, or whatever the
Right.
case may be, right? But I don't care what you do. When you first get to the military, you're broke down, and then I don't care how right you think you are, you're gonna be wrong that day when you pull up, the basic training. But some parents, their whole teaching experience is just like basic training. They constantly break down a person because they feel like if I let my child have expectations, they're going to be crushed when they can't meet them. Now, the flip side of that, you got parents that expect greatness out of their children. They expect the highest standards, and they don't accept anything less than an A. And then you've got undue pressure and all that. So you've got to have a balance. But it's heartbreaking when you hear a parent perpetuating learned helplessness. And what you have to do is you have to break the cycle. You do have to say, baby, when I run across people like that, I say, your mama doesn't own your future. She's just a custodian of your present. You can dream whatever you want, and as long as you're willing to put some work in to get there, you can have it. And it's a shorter trip to your dreams than you think. So those are the type of things that I say to kids that are like that. I say, you just got to make it through this storm, and it's going to be a brighter day at the other end. Just don't get in trouble with the law. Get you something behind yourself, some degrees, a nursing license, something so you can get out here on your own. Get into the military so you can have your own home and start building for your own future. Because your mama's probably dealing with some demons.
Yeah.
And, that could be addiction, it could be bad relationships, it could be low self esteem, it could be any of that. And it's not just moms, it's horrible as moms to do that, but it's horrible too when dads do that. And there's a scripture that says, go to church with everybody, and this is very important to understand this. It says the children should honor their mother and father, but it also says, but fathers, don't provoke your children to wrath. Now, what does that mean? Process that. Don't tear down your children unjustly. Now, I'll elevate my voice, I'll get stern, but there's an end product I'm looking for. I'm not just going to tear down my child. I'm not going to do that. And if you're doing that, I'm gonna just tell you, get some help. Get some help. There's called parent nurturing classes. Seek them out. Learn how to parent. When I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at this company called Arbor Circle, with a gentleman that I used to work with, I used to co-facilitate a parent nurturing group, and that's exactly what we did. We taught parents how to parent, how to be nurturing, but also stern, but nurturing.
Right.
And if I'm gonna be 100% honest, a lot of parents don't know how to parent. I'm not talking about being their friend. I'm not talking about buying them everything that you can afford to buy them and expecting them to do the right thing. Parenting requires instruction. Discipline means instruction. It doesn't mean beating, it means instruction. When you discipline someone, you're instructing them on the correct way to do whatever it is that they did wrong. What we consider discipline is we're gonna, nah, my boy, if you did it again, I'm gonna knock your block off. I'm gonna do it again. I got a backhand foot. Okay, that's beating someone. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, there's a lesson in there, but you know, Did he get it? The other lesson is mama's crazy. Daddy's gonna kick my butt, on a regular basis. And we may have now helped them navigate to a certain extent. But what happens when mom and dad's not there to knock them out? They're gonna get out here and do something that they shouldn't be doing. I figured that out when I was doing my internship, and I was talking to we had to go talk to some inmates, and their parents beat them half to death. But they said as soon as I got away from my mom and dad and got around that corner, and I couldn't get beat. I became the person that beat.
Mm, yeah.
You get it? So be careful teaching your child by beating them because you might be teaching them a whole different lesson than you anticipate.
Exactly.
What you need to teach them how to do is think. How can I do this better? I messed up right there, but what are the things I did wrong to get that outcome? And what are the things I need to do to get a better outcome? That's parenting. Not, I'm going to beat you half to death because you didn't do what I said. That's slavery.
And then they're scared of you. They can't come to you and talk to you.
They're scared of you till they know they can beat you. And then you got a problem.
That has
And I've
happened.
had, and then I've had those clients where I've had to say, well, you've lost your child. Yeah. When your child is old enough to bust your lip or hurt you and has done that, that's when life has to finish raising your child. And there's a place where they will raise him or
Just
her.
just like
And
that
it's important.
video that Craig sent, prime example of that kid mad because they took the cell phone away. He tore up the whole apartment. And I told Craig he had to learn that somewhere. He just didn't do that. One of those
Yeah.
parents did that. So he destroyed the apartment. And like I asked Craig, is he still living?
Well, that's our generation. You, you already know, uh, we would have been looking a little different if
Yeah.
we just one of them things. If we would have knocked the lamp over, we would have been trying to figure out how to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's I like how I said that, figure out how to wake up. But anyway, so we got a different it's a different batch now. There are things, and I've seen some of these kids. I've seen kids with the explosive personality disorders and things of that nature. And what I can tell you is you better be careful because some of these kids will hurt you. They're not like how we used to be. We might have had one or two kids like that back in the day we heard of that might beat up. It's something in the water, the food. I don't know. I mean, a perfect example. Look how many children are coming up autistic now.
Oh yeah.
Now you can't tell me there's not something going on with the food, the additives, or something. It's way too many kids coming up autistic now or on the spectrum. And I don't know what it is. It's been something I've been talking about with colleagues and friends. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm seeing the signs. I'm like, dang, like what is going on? You know? So when you have kids that have limited social skills, and you try to force a child that has limited social skills and has a cognitive reason for not doing that, you're gonna get a reaction you ain't ready for. Okay. Now, yeah, you can
Absolutely.
you can you can be violent if you want to, but what you're actually teaching is violence.
You be going to sleep with one eye open.
Listen, I've had to do those assessments, man, where I had the kids say they were just waiting for mom and dad to go to sleep,
Mm.
and they were going to go into the kitchen. Okay, so I've done these assessments. I've seen these kids right there in San Antonio, and they're out there. These school shooting situations. Look at the age of these kids that are coming in here with these guns. All right. So what is going on is we have got to get a better grasp of our kids' mental state and pay attention to what they're watching, what they're doing. And yeah, I let Sydney play some of these video games, but I tell him, this is not reality. There's no reset in life.
No.
I'm going to teach Sydney about firearms and all that type of stuff. And I'm going to teach her how to defend herself, but I'm going to teach her the correct way to do that. And these guns are not toys. And when you are upset because somebody says something to you that they don't like, or does something to you that you don't like, you got to know how to handle that without going to get a gun or a knife or something, to harm somebody. There's ways that you can deal with those situations.
Right.
And we're not teaching these kids social skills, and some of them have limited social skills, and they're serious when they say they're gonna hurt you. But sometimes that little kid that ain't saying nothing that go walk off, he might come back and hurt this child. You better watch him. I've seen it. I've been in the room, and I'm like, you better go watch him.
Always the
He
quiet
yeah,
ones.
yeah. I've seen kids leave the room, and I'm like, and the teacher just acting like they didn't understand what was going on. Where is he going? What is he going to get?
Ooh.
He left the room. I left the room.
We both leaving.
Hey, hey, we both leaving this mug. Where are you going? What we doing?
Yeah.
He went into his book bag. What you getting?
Yep.
What we getting out your bag? Because I need to see it. Because if you grab the wrong thing, I'm gonna have to break you down, young man,
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
Exactly.
I've had to do that in a certain school system. I ain't gonna say no names. I had to break him down. I didn't know what he was about to do, and I wasn't gonna find out. I wasn't gonna wait to find out.
Mm. Well, we had two kids here at two of the high school, different high schools, caught with guns already.
Listen,
They caught them
listen,
early before anything
yeah.
happened.
Listen, been there. I will tell you, I know Flint takes a lot of bad rap because of the water and all that. And I came up partially in a very rough environment. But see, I'm not surprised about guns in schools. Middle school and high school, I was used to that. They were doing raids and having dogs walk through and all that when I was in middle school and high school. So I learned how to navigate that terrain. See, and what you gotta learn when dealing with situations like that, you gotta learn how to be proactive. You gotta learn who's unstable, and you got to pay attention to who has access to a gun. And kids usually tell on themselves ahead of
Yeah.
time. The problem is we don't listen. So if a child is unstable and brings up, "Oh, my dad's got a gun in the house," why is he telling you that? Why is he talking to you about a gun? That's because he's planning on going and getting that thing. Or if a kid is affiliating with or trying to be down with some gang members or want to be gang members or want to be thugs, then you put them on the radar. And you watch, observe. You rate his, go ahead and check his locker, check his bag on a regular basis. So we got to get back to that old school. I'm gonna get in your business.
Yes.
Old school, getting in your business. You got to do it. Listen, to anybody, the sound of my voice, if you got teenagers, kids, if you don't start adopting that, you putting yourself in a bad situation. Get in a business. They don't have any business that you shouldn't be a part of for the most part. Now, if your kid's getting all good grades and not an issue and trying to, I'm not saying you gotta, you know, micromanage every little detail, but you're responsible for that child. You know that, right? So if they go out and do something, you're responsible. So of course, I'm gonna have to be in your business. I'm gonna give you some privacy to a certain extent, but I have the ability to override it for a matter of house security, like national security. I got house security, and you're a
Yep.
part of that security. I'm a part of that security. I don't want to listen. I've done too many of those assessments where they go, I didn't know things had gotten that bad. Well, when was the last time you checked? When was the last time you checked? Because if they don't talk to you, if you're not regularly talking to your child how they're doing, getting in their business, how are you gonna know if something really went far to the left?
Right.
And as an adult, if somebody isn't interested in talking to you and they keep demonstrating that after a while, are you gonna start bringing their stuff to them? No, you're gonna stop, and that's what the kids do to you. Well, my dad don't care, my mom don't care, so I got to figure this out on my own.
And that's where
So
the
that's
trouble
what's going
starts.
on.
Yeah.
So hey, that might not be the answer that y'all want to hear, but that's the answer that is
Yes,
right.
sir.
So So what I suggest you do is you have table talk every night with your kids. Find a way to have dinner at least 2 to 3 times a week, and just say, "This is your time to tell us whatever's on your mind and how are things going in school. Do you have any issues? Anybody messing with you? You messing with anybody? What do I need to do? If I were to show up, I'm gonna give a question. If I were to show up at your school tomorrow and ask the teachers how you doing, what would they say? If I were to ask the kids at school about you, about how you act or who you are, what would they say? If I were to pop up at school tomorrow, I ain't saying I am, I'm not saying I'm not. What would I see? And then here's the other part. Do it.
Yes.
And I think Craig said that the last show, right? I know we're getting ready. Are we about out the time here?
Yeah.
But I just want to say this. But Craig, remember that time Craig told you he was acting a fool and he had to ask the kids. He said, "My mom was standing behind
But
it."
yeah. Now that's
That is
priceless.
that is a true story. That is a true story. That's the type of terrorism that we had coming up. I
Hmm.
would be doing something crazy outside, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't know if that blue Buick is down out here. I
Yeah,
can't
you look
see."
around.
You
Yeah.
yeah, you're looking around because you never know. And I tell you, my mother got me. Oh, she got me good one time. She was like, "So, how'd you have a good day at school today?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a good day." She said, So what did you say to that boy over there on the hill?" Or what? And I was like, "Oh Lord," she was, and I think I thank God I wasn't acting a fool at that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
But right after that, right before that, I was acting a fool. But I just happened that when she came to the school for something, she didn't even let me know she was there. That's the type of stuff that we got to, you gotta your kids gotta know you gonna show up, you gonna pop up and you care.
That's right.
And surprise, that goes a long way. And Craig was a clown, man, in school. We that's how we ended up being friends because I could relate to his foolishness. But we graduated.
Yeah, that's the key.
Okay. See, we had our fun, but we graduated, and we could only go so far before somebody went upside our head. And my grandfather would knock him out. His mom would knock me out. I'm still to this day. I'm telling the truth. I pull up next to her house. I cut my music down. It's by default because Miss Harris didn't play that. She'll meet you at the stair. Why are you coming up in my driveway with this music loud? I'm
Ooh.
sorry, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's respect was there. And we have to get our kids to make sure that they respect us. But here's the other thing, I'm gonna leave on that. You also have to live a life respectable.
That's
So
the key.
you can't be out in the club every night. You can't be walking around the house dropping it like it's hot. I know that's old, but you can't be doing the same dances that your child is doing, don't even know the meaning of that dance. That Soldier Boy song a long time ago, there was a meaning to that. And principals and everybody made a fool of themselves doing that dance. And the kids were laughing at them, not with
With
them.
them.
So take some time to understand what's going on with these kids. You know this. I don't know if you know. I play a lot of these video games. The kids come over. They love coming over to play video games with Mr. Lee, and I can beat them in a lot of the fighting games and football and all that. Well, I used to be able to Madden. I don't know what's going on right now because you got to, I guess, play for the NFL for real to understand the Madden
Yeah.
games. But um, but you got to be able to kind of get to their world a little bit, and their world is very fast paced and it's very electronic, but they're still learning some of the basic things that are not, which are social skills and communication and talking. And they're still accessible if you try, but you have to try, you
Right.
know? So that's it. Spend some time with your kids, find out what they're interested in, find out the messages that they're selling your children, and then you can kind of see where they're headed. And that's my mental health, conversation for today.
Oh.
So there it is.
All right, sir. Until next week.
So next week.
All righty, brother. You take care. Appreciate you.
Right.
You
All
see,
right.
it's
You
morning.
know the
It's
saying, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a
your
word you're
words
saying.
say.
So that's what we gotta do. So these actions are speaking pretty loud. So let's get out here and get ready to vote. And that's gonna say everything. That's the
Amen to
action we
that.
need to say.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right, brother.
All
We'll
right.
catch up with you later.
All right.
All right.
Later.
Okay, later.
Recording stopped.
All right, everybody. That was Joseph Lee here on WSAN Radio, and he had it going on. I'm telling you that right now. It was good to hear that talk right there. Some real talk. So right now, we're just gonna go ahead and get on out of here.